Welcome to Chapter 11, where we'll learn how to transform your research ideas into a well-structured, persuasive research proposal. A research proposal is essentially a contract. It shows exactly what you plan to do, how you'll do it, and why it matters. This chapter will guide you through each section of the proposal, helping you write a document that gets approval and sets you up for successful research. Today's objectives focus on the practical skills of proposal writing. We're not just learning what goes on in each section, we're learning how to write persuasively and professionally. You'll leave this session with a clear roadmap for creating research proposals that demonstrate your methodological sophistication and get the approval you need to proceed with your research. Writing a research proposal isn't just a bureaucratic requirement. It serves important purposes for you as a researcher. Getting feedback early helps you avoid major problems later. Approval processes ensure your research meets standards and expectations. The planning process forces you to think through details you might otherwise overlook. And much of what you write can be reused in your final research report, making the proposal a valuable investment of time. Your title is the first thing readers see, so make it count. It should clearly communicate what you're studying and with whom. Notice how the example title mirrors the research hypothesis. There's a close relationship between your research question and your title. The subtitle, A Research Proposal, distinguishes your document from a completed research report. Keep it concise but informative. Different institutions and instructors have different prefaces for proposal organization. Some want a separate introduction and literature review section, while others prefer them integrated. Always check what's expected. If you're writing a separate introduction, it should be concise and save detailed literature discussion for the dedicated literature review section. Understand that this distinction is crucial for proposal writing. Conceptual definitions establish what you mean by key terms, like defining social sport or academic achievement. These usually go into your introduction. Operational definitions explain how you will actually measure these concepts, like using a specific questionnaire or observational system. These typically appear in your methods section. Using published definitions helps build consistent research and shows you understand the field. Qualitative research proposals need an additional element that quantitative proposals typically do not include: acknowledgement of the researcher's personal perspective. This isn't a weakness, it is a methodological sophistication. By acknowledging your background and potential biases up front, you demonstrate awareness of how subjectivity might influence your research. Keep this discussion brief, but be honest. Method section is the heart of your proposal. It shows exactly how you'll conduct your research. The three standard subsections appear in virtually all proposals, though sometimes slight variations in naming. Your goal is to provide enough detail that a knowledgeable reader could replicate your study. This level of detail demonstrates that you've thought through the practical aspects of your research. The participants section needs to address these 5 elements systematically. Describe your target population clearly and explain your selection criteria. Give a specific sample size or reasonable range. Avoid vague statements like as many as possible. Be realistic about participation rates. Not everyone will want to participate or agree. Address informed consent requirements if applicable. Finally, acknowledge any limitations honestly. This shows methodological sophistication, not weakness. The measures section differs significantly between quantitative and qualitative research. Quantitative proposals need detailed information about instruments, including psychometric properties. Qualitative proposals focus more on the types of information you will collect and how interviews will be structured. In both cases, provide enough detail for readers to understand and evaluate your measurement approach. The procedures section covers the how of your research, the concrete steps you will take that aren't covered in the participants and measures section. This might include how you'll recruit participants, where and when your data collection will occur, how experimental treatments will be administered, or how you will handle informed consent. Only include this section if there are important procedural details to explain. Analysis sections vary considerably between quantitative and qualitative research. Quantitative sections can be quite brief for basic research. Just name the statistics you'll compute. Qualitative sections need to be more detailed because there are more methodological choices to explain. In both cases, organize your analysis plan clearly and match it to your research questions or hypotheses. The discussion section is your opportunity to sell the importance of your research. Briefly summarize what you're proposing to do and why it matters. Connect your study to the broader theoretical and practical concerns. Be honest about limitations while also highlighting the strengths of your approach. This section should convince readers that your research is worth doing and that you understand its place in the broader scholarly conversation. The references section should also include sources you actually cite in your proposal. Resist the temptation to pad it with additional sources. Follow your required citation style. Attention to detail and formatting reflects your professionalism. Before submitting, proofread carefully and consider having a colleague review your proposal. Fresh eyes often catch errors you've missed and can provide valuable feedback on clarity and persuasiveness. This is the standard structure you'll use for most research proposals. Some may include additional sections like limitations or timeline, but this basic structure covers the essential elements. Notice how each section builds on the previous one. You establish the problem and context. Explain exactly how you will study it. Describe how you'll analyze your data and discuss the implications. This logical flow helps readers follow your reasoning and evaluate your proposal. Common mistakes that weaken research proposals. Vague research questions make it impossible to evaluate your methods. Insufficient methodological details suggest you haven't thought through the practical aspects. Unrealistic plans undermine your credibility. Failing to acknowledge limitations makes you seem naive rather than sophisticated. Poor connections between sections make proposals hard to follow. Weak literature foundations suggest you do not understand the field. Avoid these problems by being specific, realistic, and thorough in your planning. Let's review the essential principles of proposal writing. Remember that proposals are both planning documents and persuasive arguments. They need to show that you can conduct good research and that the research is worth doing. Each section contributes to building your case. The methods section is particularly crucial because it demonstrates your methodological competence. Acknowledging limitations shows sophistication, not weakness. Think of your proposal as an investment. Much of what you write can be adapted for your final research report. Finally, seek feedback early and be willing to revise based on input from advisors and peers. Now it's time to put these principles into practice. Start by choosing a research topic that genuinely interests you, since you'll be spending a considerable amount of time with it. Conduct a preliminary literature review to understand what has been done and what gaps exist. Draft your proposal systematically, section by section, using the structure outlined. Don't try to be perfect and make each section perfect before moving on. Often it's easier to see how sections connect once you have a complete draft. Seek feedback early and often from advisors, peers, and anyone else who can provide useful perspectives. Be prepared to revise based on feedback. This is normal and a valuable part of the process. Remember, a well-written proposal sets the foundation for successful research and makes the entire project more manageable and rewarding.